Hi, my name is Catie Evans, and I am the writer and director of Umbra.
I'm Colin Swanson. I was the assistant director of Umbra.
Hello, my name is Tristan Anthony B, and my role was Lucas in Umbra.
My name is Carl Shack. I played Grayson Miller in Umbra.
The production Umbra took place in our NWU planetarium, which is a very interesting space. If you've ever been in there, the seats face the front of the room, but Catie's vision was to use the entire room.
It really was a beautiful space. I mean, it's immersive in a way that audiences can't really get anywhere else, because it was immersive in the sense that the actors didn't necessarily talk to you, but you were in class with them, you were at the party with them, and it was a really unique situation for a show like this.
So throughout staging, Catie and I discussed that we were each going to sit on a separate side of the auditorium and take notes from two different perspectives, and that's kind of how we started the directing process, is just making sure that there wasn't a bad seat anywhere in the house. I think our biggest challenge in there was the lighting, and we had to be very innovative and come up with new ways on how we were going to light the room. And I think that was really challenging, but also something that was really fun to take on, because we had all student production team except our costume designer, and we really worked together to pull off this production.
After this process, because this was the first time that Umbra had been fully realized and produced on a stage, I realized, or I had ideas, but it confirmed Umbra is a tech-heavy show in regards to technical cues, projection, light, sound, all going at the same time. And so that sort of technology-based theme throughout the show, with our main character and his camera taking pictures and him editing and the process being on display for projection, really adds this extra layer to the story, because while we are in a planetarium, through the projection and through the lens of Grayson, we got to see the world that they were living in, and that really added just to the overall experience of the show and seeing things through characters' eyes. And the tech really, without the tech, we just wouldn't get that magic.
Catie Evans, this is the second production I was with Catie, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate working with Catie.
When I first arrived at Wesleyan, people would always talk about, I'm working on a Catie Evans project. I'm like, oh, what's a Catie Evans project? And I kept hearing about it more and more and more. They're like, who wrote this play? It was really good. I'm like, oh, it was Catie Evans. I'm like, who's Catie Evans? And we're like, oh yeah, she's a writer here. She does a ton of stuff. And I'm like, man, I want to work on a Catie Evans project.
I think Catie and I work really well together. It's a good balance of not being co-directors, but an assistant director versus the director of the production, just so someone has the final say in every decision. But also, it never felt like we weren't equally listening to each other, which is a very important part of directing.
When she was writing, she thought as those characters. She put herself in every single character's place, so she understood it better than pretty much any of us ever could. And it was amazing having that opportunity to work with her.
I wanted to work for her, she worked for me, and it was amazing. I would love to do it again.
The cast and crew was great. They were a great mix of people, and everybody had a really fun time, especially for a group of people that were together for a long time. Our cast actually got decided and announced in September, early September, and we did not open until late January. So that's around 5 months of time together. And of course, in professional productions, you can go years with some cast, but here in college, the max is usually like 2 to 3 months.
Even though the show was very heavy and the subject matter is very intense, we still made it a fun environment to work in.
It's amazing that it happened. It had a lot of hurdles to jump through. It was a long process, and there were moments where who knows what was going to happen, who knew what it was going to look like, but every single conflict and every single obstacle was worth it tenfold in the end. It was so worth the final production, and the fact that we got to share that story with people in that fashion. I wouldn't have changed anything for the world, and I'm just so grateful to everyone who helped that vision come to life.